Hi, I'm Alan Goingback from Maitland, Florida. You're watching HWWS Web TV.
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hanging With Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter. Thank you so much for logging on or tuning in. We're glad you came by because we're at Fantasm Orlando all weekend long. And right now we are hanging out with Hanging With Web Show alumnus and author Owl Goingback. Owl, thanks for coming by and hanging out,
Very
man.
nice to be back to see you.
Yeah. Wow, last time you were in the chair, now we've run into each other at conventions here. Last time you were in the chair, I think, was 2 years ago.
A couple years ago,
MegaCon,
yeah.
And you have been busy.
Always busy.
You've been writing.
The wife is brutal. It makes me work.
I know, all the time. Yeah, you know, the thing is, you come home and you say, I'm going to be a writer. And at first they laugh.
Yeah. She still laughs.
Yeah, it's like the stages of grief. There's laughter. And then denial and all the others.
She wants production and productivity.
Productivity.
I can't just
That's
nap
the
on
one
the
that
couch.
they get. They're like, I'm like, look, I'm thinking. No, they don't go for that.
She wants to read the stuff that day to make sure I've done something rather than watch TV all day.
Oh yeah. So what we have Coyote Rage here. This is the new one, huh? Oh, he's raging. He's having a good time. This one. All right. I tell you what. Let's tell him the book blurb on Coyote Rage. We'll start there. We'll work our way back. How's that?
Coyote Rage is a story about the Coyote the Trickster.
Coyote the Trickster.
And he is a member of the Great Council. I do a lot with the Cherokee mythos. The story takes place in this world and in Galalati. And Galalati was in Cherokee legend, it's the sky world. It's where the animals and people all came from, but because it got so overcrowded, they came down to this world. Well, in my story, in Galalati, they used to have the Great Council, meets once every 7 years. And every creature and species is represented by one person.
Oh, wow.
So Coyote the Trickster decides he wants to destroy and kill the representative for mankind. Because when he does that, mankind will lose power in this world and the animals will rule again.
Will rise.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Coyote is tired of people hunting his people for fur, for sport. They're just tired of mankind in general, what they've done to the animals. And so he's got backings of other creatures too. And Coyote's a shapeshifter, and there's other shapeshifters. And I did the traditional shapeshifting in the old Indian legends where they take your skin off and turn it inside out. So it's fur out or fur in. I thought that was way cool.
Oh, that is way cool.
I came across an old Indian legend that had that. I said, oh, I got to do a book just like that.
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting because as much as today, the modern vision of the shifter legend is sort of that European vision that came from the Wolfman movies, the Universal movies. Yep. Remember?
Lon Chaney.
But they made that up because Europe didn't have a steeped shifter tradition, but the Native Americans do.
Yeah,
they have a time-old shifter tradition.
There's still people in the res that believe in shapeshifters and skinwalkers, which are the witches that can change. And they don't have to just change into wolves or coyotes, but they can change into birds and other animals. And it's still a very strong belief in certain parts of the reservation and stuff. So I got to play with all these wonderful legends and beliefs and folklore. So Coyote Rage is. Crota had a lot of Indian stuff in it, my other books, but I really got very traditional in Coyote Rage. It has so much fun. And I have animal creatures as main characters. So I have a wonderful relationship between Raven, who's a shapeshifter, and Mouse, who's just a mouse.
Just a mouse.
And rides on Raven's back when they fly because he's licking his wound.
Oh,
and then Raven, when he becomes in his human persona, he rides a Harley Davidson and Mouse is in his pocket.
Nice.
So you got to have a Harley in there.
You got to have a Harley in there, right?
Got to be cool. Yeah.
I noticed that with these books, is that you really embrace a lot of the traditional stories, and you're doing some fun things with them.
I had a lot of fun with this one. In fact, there will be a sequel to it because I've had so much fun with characters, even the minor characters. I've just got to continue their story. I've got a bone picker who's, basically the bone pickers in the Cherokee and Choctaws of the ancient times. They were the ones who prepared the bodies of the dead for burial. After the bodies had been on scaffolds and Mother Nature did this thing, they were certain special members that had long fingernails, and they would pull the dried flesh off the bones and prepare the bones to give to the family.
Oh,
and they had,
wow.
they were identified by a special tattoo, which I've never seen an image of. But I said, well, that's a fascinating character. They actually had bone pickers, and at the time when I was researching this, I was working in a cemetery. So technically, I was a bone picker.
Yeah. Wow. All right, I had no idea. No idea at all. Why does that sign say poison ivy? Okay, I'm going to ask.
Oh, I have a really bad batch of it. Yeah, she wanted me to show the poison ivy. Yeah, it's getting better.
I don't know
though.
why we're showing these things off, but
the rash is kind of cleared up a little bit.
Apparently, it's a YouTube thing, I guess. I don't. Yeah, so.
Poison ivy. I did a comic for DC.
Yes, I know.
I was selected, I think, in 2016. My memory's foggy. I was one of 8 writers out of about 1,900 applicants selected for DC's Talent Development Workshop, which was a 13-week course where we met online.
And you did Poison Ivy.
I did a Poison Ivy character. But I took Poison Ivy and I made her not the sidekick of Harley Quinn. I made her on her own adventure, and it was a dark tale, a horror tale, where she's fighting a Babylonian shape-shifting essence vampire. And it's
Babylonian shape-shifting essence vampire.
It sucks the life out of everything.
Wow.
It starts out where the first panel and you see all these missing children posters, and you think she's there and she's talking about hearing the voices calling out for help.
They hand you, for all intents and purposes, a Batman villain.
Yes.
Okay. And again, and Poison Ivy, like a lot of the female Batman villains, is chaotic neutral. She rides the line back and forth several times. She can be very heroic at times, very villainous at times, very much like Harley Quinn. They've done that with her in the new adaptation of Harley Quinn. They've moved her back and forth across the line a little bit. When they handed you a Batman villain, you said vampires. How did you? What? Okay.
I didn't look at her as a villain. She likes plants more than people, and I know a lot of folks like that. Now, she relates to the plants, and she does her medicine with plants, and she can also kill people with plant poisons. Well, amongst the Native Americans, that would be a medicine woman.
Yeah.
The whole thing, or a woman, the Eastern European, I know a lot of witches who have their garden, their magical garden, and the plants are used for healing or for harming. So I looked at Poison Ivy more along those lines. That she would be a medicine woman.
More of the sage, the medicine woman.
Exactly. And when she arrives in this story, she's being called by the voices, but it's not the voices of the children this thing is killed. It's the voices of the plants calling out to her.
Because it's one of those classic, Indian, not the American Indian tradition, but the Indian tradition. Oh my Lord, I forgot the name now. But the energy vampire that transfers energy.
Yeah.
So that comes from all living things.
Like the succubus type thing.
Yeah, it comes from all living things, not just people.
She's draining everything. She's turning this creature is turning the forest into a desert, you know.
So naturally, who would they cry out to? But
she hears them
in her
dreams, and she hears their voices crying for help because they're dying. And so a lot of Native beliefs about communicating with plants and you feeling plant spirits. So I said, okay, she might be a villain for not liking people and doing bad stuff to justify her cause, but she
is that
root.
Chaotic neutral. She does have a solid motivation for her character, and protection of the natural world is a big part of that. So. It makes sense, but I see it. I'm like, hey, here's Poison Ivy. Have some fun with that. And you went to vampire. Yeah. See, this is what happens when you hire.
And it wasn't a
horror
blood-sucking vampire. It was an essence vampire, which kills everything.
That's wow. And so how'd they go? How's it going?
It did great. I want to continue with Poison Ivy, but Tom King was doing stuff with her, so I backed off. But I've got a 6-issue miniseries where she does that, where she's not just a Harley Quinn sidekick, because some of the comics portray her as a ditz. I mean, but this woman is a college-educated scientist.
Even screenwriters now have had trouble with what to do with Poison Ivy. They've made her sort of the Catwoman sidekick, the Harley sidekick. She's always sort of the foil for another femme fatale.
I didn't realize how big a following she had at the time. I just thought she was a great character. I didn't know there's this huge war taking place with people who want her as a villain and people who want to lift her up and make her a hero, especially amongst the gay and lesbian community. They want this person to be
the classic anti-hero.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think, and there is because she has that chaotic neutral, because most of what her motivation is to protect the natural world the way she sees it. Because of that, she would make an excellent anti-hero because she is motivated by that. And you can do, like you said, you can do harm or you can do exceptional good with the same set of skills.
And there's so much they haven't explored about her background. I mean, we know that she killed her father with poisoned lipstick. We know about her mother being killed. But, you know, what about the early years when her mom or whoever was teaching her these plant skills, these medicines? I mean, of course, the story is she pushed in a vat and inherited it. But a lot of her magic is more of, you know, the mystical. It's not more chemical related or, you know, falling in a vat. It's like, how would that explain controlling plants?
Yeah.
There has to be, I can see her doing the stuff out in the deserts or learning the skills from a teacher. Like
yeah, well, there has to be, again, you know, always in the comic books, they always have a catalyst for the change. But, you know, I loved the new Joker movie just came out. I love the character exploration in that because we're exploring something that rather than say the 80s, 90s dropped in a vat of acid, we're exploring the cycle of what makes a person into this particular.
Even the villains can be great characters and much more interesting than the protagonist. I mean, you know, because for the heroes, because they get this backstory that you get to explore. I mean, in Poison Ivy, there hadn't been a lot to it, and she had recently became basically Harley Quinn's sidekick. She was
Which is really great considering that Harley Quinn started out as just a sidekick.
Yeah.
Actually a henchman more than a sidekick, right? And then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah. And they're expanding her whole backstory. It's like, well, let's do something with Poison Ivy. I want to give us road trips.
She gets to be the anti-hero in the film coming, Birds of Prey. She gets to cross that line and be the anti-hero with some of the other heroes, villains.
And she's got a huge fan base, as I found out when I did the comics. I didn't realize I had all these people writing me. I said, well, I just picked a character.
It's like you said when you were writing the book, it's the smaller characters that somehow they grab a niche audience and they draw them in. And different segments of the audience are so drawn to that one small character moment that they're hooked forever.
With them, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've done that with books of characters I expected to kill off, and they've gone and become the main characters.
You ever accidentally kill one off and then get a reader come up and say, "What were you doing?" Yeah,
I did.
They get a little upset, don't they? They're a little,
I did Breed, and I did the entire pacing of Breed, which is set in St. Augustine, and it was going to be a nice romantic ending. And I was driving home, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but I had an image of one of the characters with her face ripped off and stuck on a beer carton. I started laughing. And I'd already sold the story based on the outline where...
I'm not laughing at the beer carton, I'm laughing at Owl laughing.
I was cracking up, so I got to do it. So I changed it, and I'd already submitted the outline to the publisher, and they had already given me a contract. But I changed it where it was... the person died, so it was a tearjerker ending, and it worked a lot better. And I was happier. And of course, people came up to me and said, "How could you?" Then they were like, "But we understand. It was a better story."
It was a better story, but when you become that emotionally invested in those characters, it's hard to watch them. You know, you're like, "What was he thinking?" It was really much better story, though. We have to wrap it up. Owl and I could talk all day long. We're going to say thank you to our partners and friends at Krypton Radio, the Foxwood Wine Company for these awesome comfy chairs, Embellish Effects in Orlando, Florida, the Cogler Emporium, our great friend Josh Bauer at J. Bauer Art for all this fantastic art on the set this weekend, Indie Originals, Space Coast Comics, and Famous Faces and Funnies. We also want to thank our new friend at Sherry's Bright Ideas and Sketches by Sherry for this awesome lamp for the set this weekend. Check them out online, guys. We'll put links down below. In the meantime, guys, stay logged on and stay tuned in because you never know who we're hanging with next. Awesome.
Very cool.
Owl, thank you so much, man. That was awesome.
Yes, very cool.